Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Munatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ramo Hare Ramo Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ramo Hare Ramo Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ramo Hare Ramo Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Grantaraja Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Kishore Kishore ki, Shri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra ki, Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Gaura Premanande, Jai Shri Guru Gauranga, Jai Shri Guru Gauranga, Jai Shri Guru Gauranga. So today, which is 2013, October 10, by the mercy of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and for the pleasure for all assembled devotees, we will continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam Puran, the Canto 5, Chapter 14, the Forest of Enjoyment, continuing with the Shloka number 32. Kvichidram vadaidhi kartishu griheshu ramsyam yatavanaraha satadara vatsalo vyavayakshanaha. Kvachit, sometimes. Drumavat, like trees. As monkeys jump from one tree to another, The conditioned soul transmigrates from one body to another. Aihika arthishu, simply to bring about better worldly comforts. Grihishu, in the houses or bodies. Ramsayan, delighting in one body after another, either in animal life, human life, or demigod life. Yata, exactly as Vanara, the monkey. Sutadhara Vatsala, very affectionate to the children and wife. Vyavayakshanaha, whose leisure time is spent in sex pleasure. Translation and purport of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Just as monkey jumps from one tree to another, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another. As the monkey is ultimately captured by the hunter and is unable to get out of the captivity, the conditioned soul, being captivated by the momentary sex pleasure, becomes attached to different types of bodies and is engaged in family life. Family life affords the conditioned soul a festival of momentarily sex pleasure, and thus he is completely unable to get out of the material clutches. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:9-29, Vishaya kalu sarvataha syat. Bodily necessities like eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are all very easily available in any form of life. It is stated here that the Vanara, the monkey, is very much attracted to sex. Each monkey keeps at least 24 wives, and he jumps from one tree to another to capture the female monkeys. Thus, he immediately engages in sexual intercourse, and in this way the monkey's business is to jump from one tree to another and enjoy sex with his wives. The conditioned soul is doing the same thing, transmigrating from one body to another and engaging in sex. He thus completely forgets how to become free from the clutches of material engagement. Sometimes the monkey is captured by a hunter who sells its body to doctors so that its glands can be removed for the benefit of another monkey. Man. All this is going on in the name of economic development and improved sex life. Kvachidrumvad ahi kartishu grihishu ramsyan yat vanara sutadara vatsalo vyavaya kshanaha. Just as monkey jumps from one tree to another, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another, as the monkey is ultimately captured by the hunter and is unable to get out of captivity. The conditioned soul, being captivated by momentary sex pleasure, becomes attached to different bodies, to different types of bodies, and is engaged in family life. Family life affords the conditioned soul a festival of momentary sex pleasure, and thus he is completely unable to get out of the material clutches. What a shloka. What a chapter. Where Shukadeva Goswami just smashes to pieces the life of a conditioned soul in a conditioned state of consciousness. Because it doesn't really matter what type of sex conditioned soul is engaged in, because it's all about the pleasure, so-called. If you speak about sex, like rubbing two skins, it's one type of pleasure. But you can see through your eyes also some pleasurable thing, and it's also rubbing the object with your sense object, with your sense organ. So be that ears, be that eyes, be that nose, be that tongue, be that skin, it's all about the same. It's all about the pleasure. That just the question of intensity. How intensely it gives me the pleasure. Is it a drug? Is it alcohol? Is it the smoking? Is it sex? It's just all about the intensity of sensual pleasure. And if not the Shastra, if not the Sadhu and Guru, would we know that it's an illusion? It has nothing to do with the real self, spirit soul. It has nothing to do. Even the mind is said to be a bridge. It's a bridge between external world and my internal world. So through the mind we experience the external world, which is real but illusory, because it has nothing to do with a spiritual soul and spiritual life. So a living entity conditioned by a materialistic concept of life, of sensual pleasure, is just spends all his life hunting for the objects of sensual pleasure. And more object gives intense pleasure, more we strive or hunger for this. And the biggest hunter is the mind. It orders our sense organs go and get some pleasurable thing to see, some pleasurable thing to hear, some pleasurable thing to smoke, to smell, some pleasurable thing to taste, some pleasurable thing to touch, to rub. And this is called the life. This is conditioned soul is calling this is a life. Although it is not, it is sleeping. Yes, we know, Jeev Jago. Wake up the conditioned sleeping soul, because you are not living, you are just in illusion. But it's interesting to know that, like, to say the least, I was very surprised when I read that Shukadeva Goswami was not a devotee from the beginning of his appearance in this world, and he was not appreciating devotees at all. Shukadeva Goswami, after taking birth, he just left home. He was renounced, he was liberated, he was at Maram, but he was not a devotee. He was not a Vaishnava devotee until he was not initiated by his father and going through the educational process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Same thing, yesterday we told the story of Devananda Pandit, who was known as expert knower, expert speaker on Bhagavat Puran. He was all over Nadia, well known as an expert reciter, knower, Pandit of Srimad Bhagavatam, but not a devotee. That was making Lord Chaitanya furious. Some rascal nonsense is giving explanations on Bhagavat Purana, excluding the bhakti. Oh, that was making him furious. He was chastising like anything Devananda Pandit. And only after he performed some service to a Vaishnava and was blessed by Vaishnava and was excused by Lord Chaitanya himself after he came back from the trip in South India, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only when he was excused of his offense towards Srivas Thakur, whom Devananda Pandit's disciples kicked out of the class because he was experiencing ecstatic symptoms listening Bhagavatam shlokas. Only then he became a Vaishnava, and it is in Chaitanya Lila it is said, yes, Devananda Pandit became a Vaishnava and one of the dear associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But another very interesting thing is that Srivas Thakur, he was also from his birth not a devotee. He was actually an offender. And once when Lord Chaitanya, during the night kirtans in Srivas Thakur's house, he asked Srivas Thakur, do you remember once I saved your life? Srivas Thakur, do you remember that? And Srivas Thakur started recovering his memory. Yes, Lord Chaitanya. Before I met you, in my childhood and my young age, I was a rascal. I was an offender. I was a criticizer of Guru and the Brahmanas. Srivas Thakur was admitting to Lord Chaitanya, yes, I was a rascal. I was non-believer. I was atheist. Srivas Thakur, in whose house every night Lord Chaitanya was performing wild kirtans behind the closed doors. Srivas Thakur was admitting, yes, I was rascal. I was offender. I was criticizing Brahmanas, Guru. I was doing all kind of nonsense. And he said to Lord Chaitanya when he asked, do you remember how I saved your life? Srivas Thakur said, yes, I remember. Once I had a dream. And he says, I don't know because of what pious activities I performed when. Not in this life, most probably. In my dream, some very soft-hearted Brahmana approached me and told me in my dream, you know, Srivas, I'll give you one advice. Just want to do you a favor. In a dream, he said, you've got 1 year to live more. That's it, and you will die. There's 1 year for you to live, and it's only because of your sinful activities. You will die in 1 year. So, dear Srivas, don't spend your time in vain. Don't spoil your time. Don't spoil this 1 year in vain. And Srivas Thakur was telling the story to Lord Chaitanya, saying, in the morning when I woke up, I was terribly disturbed. 1 year to live more, that's it. What shall I do? What shall I do? And he said, I immediately started going through the different Shastra, reading the Shastra. Different shlokas, different scriptures. And he said, I came upon Narada Pancharatra, where I found Harirnam, Harirnam, Harirnama eva kevalam, Kalau naste, vanaste, vanaste, vagatiranyata. In this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way than the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So, Srivas Thakur, still being young, he thought, oh, this soft-hearted Brahmana who approached me in the dream and gave me advice to spend my remaining time in a meaning way, I have to do something. So Srivas Thakur, he was telling the story to Lord Chaitanya and all assembled devotees, and was telling that then I decided I have to come regularly for the Devananda Pandit's Bhagavatam classes. And because he was most famous reciter of Bhagavatam, Devananda Pandit, that time in Nadia, Srivas Thakur was started coming and listening to the shlokas of Bhagavatam. And he said once upon a time, when he was reading about the story of Prahlad Maharaj, Srivas Thakur said, I lost my consciousness and I was about to die. That was the prediction, and that was when I had to leave my body during Bhagavatam class. And he says again, the disciples of Devananda Pandit paid no attention to me. I was dying there, right in the class, in the presence of everyone. Nobody paid attention. So just same thing, that if a guru is not a Vaishnava and his disciples are so neglectful that once they just took Srivas Thakur outside from the class because he was experiencing ecstatic symptoms. He was weeping, he was crying, he was rolling in ecstasy. They thought it's a disturbance, some sentimental nonsense is here. Let him kick out from the class. And this time, Srivas Pandit says, yes, those disciples, I was dying there, they didn't pay any attention. There's nothing happening. I was dying there. And he said, I could see that one shining personality saved me from the hands of a death personified. Srivas Thakur admits to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yes. Now, Lord, I know that was you. That was you who saved me. Who saved me from the clutches of death and future suffering, making me into devotee. So it's like yesterday at night, we had a Namahata program. And there were very, very beginners in spiritual life, adult people. And those who were telling their stories of life, everyone had to go through different tribulations in their life. Everyone had to go through difficult times. One lady, she made nice fruit cake, and everyone was praising her there in the program for that tasty raw fruit cake. And she told the story that she said, I went through terrible things. I was not believer at all. Just opposite. Was firm atheist. But she said, in my life, terrible things were happening. My house was in flames and my kid was in the house. I had to save my kid and extinguish the fire myself. And she was telling those stories. Terrible thing. And I asked her, so now you are accepting the Lord as a worshipable one, as the one whose names to be chanted and like this. And I said, did a person really needs to get through all this suffering and tribulation in life so that ultimately accept the Lord's existence? She said, no, because of our stubbornness. Ignorance and stubbornness, no. Until everything is okay materially, we're not so enthusiastic and keen to accept Lord. What to speak about? Serve. So, and it's every example of any person should go through terrible experience in his life, just that his heart would become little softer, so that he could approach the Lord. And this lady admitted, yes, I was blaming the Lord that in my life things are going so wrong. But ultimately she said, something happened to me. I had to admit that this is not the way to live, to solve the life's problems. This is not the life. I have to surrender. And now she's just in bliss. She's happy. She's happy because she chants, she reads, and she tries to serve the community people, Vaishnavas. So this is a life story of Srivas Thakur, where he admits, yes, I was rough, I was a offender, I was proud. And I had to die. And sure, eventually I had to go to hell for those offenses. But because I was present in the Bhagavatam class, the shlokas were chanted even by non-Vaishnava, Devananda Pandit. The shlokas were chanted just by some scholar, mundane scholar, who happened to know, study and know the Bhagavatam science. But because he was chanting Bhagavatam, he was chanting Bhagavatam shlokas. Would we like to leave our body during Bhagavatam class, right in the temple, right in front of the deities? Like Haridas Thakur did in the presence of the Lord? Oh, dream. So Srivas Thakur was grateful extremely to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, being present, he asked, so, who saved you? So, do you remember how I saved you? So actually this is the consciousness of a devotee. Whatever good or bad happens in his life, he is always grateful to the Lord. Whatever happens. Because otherwise the conditioned consciousness of a living entity tends to think that whatever good happens, it's because of my endeavor. And if something bad happens, it's because of the Lord's merciless approach of myself. So this is what is called conditioned life. Thinking that rubbing two matters is the enjoyment. It has nothing to do with you. That will never please your heart. You will never be happy. So even telling those pastimes of the Lord to non-believers, their heart becomes softened. Like Srivas Thakur. Good. He knew that 1 year left to live. So because he was in the holy dham, in the culture where Bhagavatam was recited like regularly, and it was a norm of life, he was lucky. What does that mean for us? That we have to go and read Shastra to the people in general. We have to read regularly ourselves. We have to give discourses. We have to go on Harinam. We have to chant, so that people who think, oh, I don't need that. Why I need a scripture in my life? Why I need this kirtan in my life? It's only because everyone is an illusion. They don't know what they need. How they would know what they need if they don't know who they are? The needs appear after you know your real identity. So when you start preaching and speaking for people about the soul needs, what the soul need, they become struck with wonder. Yes. And it's just by preaching you make them admit that, yes, in my life actually there is no happiness. Like day before we had a public program with 70, 80 people present. in Lithuanian community house. And you could see well-to-do, maybe some rich of them, but the eyes is not shining, gloomy, unhappy, suffering. And later on, the organizers told me that quite few of them are suffering because of addiction to alcohol. They came to America for the better life, and what they found? They work hard to get drunkard. Where is happiness? You can drink it anywhere. In Russia, the vodka is much cheaper than here. Why to go overseas to buy alcohol? Nonsense. In Russia, vodka is cheaper than water. So people are suffering, and they are ashamed. They feel shame because they can't admit that. Yes, that means I am a fool. I'm going overseas just to work hard, just to get this gross, stupid sense enjoyment, get drunken. And I have money, I can dress myself nicely, I can show that everything is okay with me. No. It's a terrible suffering. So this is what about Shukadeva Goswami speaks, Shukadeva Goswami, a topmost spiritualist, a topmost devotee, He speaks about sex life, about monkey, about this nonsense thing, What he has to do with this? What Bhagavatam has to do with all this nonsense? It has. What has? Just to make you admit you are a monkey. This is what it has to do. Just to admit. Because if you don't, you can't start with your spiritual advancement. You can't. Unless you admit, I am suffering like mad, like being in a human body, acting as a monkey. Oh, this is terrible. Spoiling valuable form of life. Like yesterday, one person, he drove us here to the temple. He's also a beginner. And he admitted, he said, as soon as I started reading Gita and started admitting, yes, that the way of life I'm leading is just a nonsense. Oh, I felt immediately relief, great relief, because I admitted the truth. I admitted the truth. But what it has to do with us, who we are staying in the temple and have nothing to do with the monkey type of life. No, we have to know, we have to experience, feel the compassion to those souls, because without compassion, how you can preach? How? Out of duty, how long you can preach out of duty? Out of compassion, you can preach the rest of your life. Out of duty, yes, you can do for a while. But out of compassion, you can preach for the benefit of humanity, conditioned souls, the rest of your life. Because it gives you pain, and this is adequate pain. You can't tolerate the suffering of the conditioned souls. Because that influences me also. I would like to live not in the temple of happy devotees, but in the city of happy devotees. Who wouldn't like to live in the city? Chicago, what's 10 million? How many? Approx. We have to be maximalists, not that. The temple, and we are like in the fort, yeah? And the fort where Maya doesn't get in, although it does sometimes, But we are safer here. No, We have to be maximalists with love and devotion. Patram pushpam palam toyam. Krishna says, with love and devotion, offer me something. So why not? Why only fruit? Why only flower? Offer the liberated conditioned souls. Huh? Why not? Go and preach and liberate your countrymen. Preach. Through kirtan, through exemplary behavior, through prasad. Oh, just name it. Preach. Liberate your countrymen. And then offer this service to Lord Krishna. This is Lord. My dear Kishori Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Gaura Nitai, this is my life's mission. So that temple will be always full. Why not to dream, huh? Why not? Who forbids us to dream that every day Mangalarati temple will be full? Huh? Why not? Like if you go to Jaipur, to Govinda's temple. You've been there ever? Amazed. I was shocked when I visited. It was what, they just put all their heart into their bhajan, into the devotion to their lordships. They love it. You can see, there is no doubt. They love it. Govindaji like anything. They start the day with Govindaji, they finish the day with Govindaji, they live through all the day with the thoughts about Govindaji. Why not a dream? Why that can't happen here? Why not? It can. It's just about the content of our life, of our heart. Oh, it's a sad day for me. Last day in Chicago. And again, I'm separated with my dear Nityananda Pran Prabhu, who is so kind always. I'm a rascal, just coming for a few days, showing up and disappearing, and still he's very kind to me, very kind. So this is the character of a Vaishnava. Although you are not worth to be treated nicely, they treat you nicely still. So thank you all, dear Vaishnavas, and wish you successful, strong preaching mission. Yesterday I met a young devotee from Argentina, yes, who's got a mission here. Wish him all the best. And all of you, just chant, read, serve, and their lordships will be very pleased with you and share with others this bliss and love, share with others. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Do we have a few minutes for the questions?
Hare Krishna. I was wondering, you made this comment that Shukadev Goswami, you were surprised to read that he wasn't a devotee. And then you went on to narrate a little bit about the story of Srivas Thakur. I kind of got a little lost as to how that was, you were connecting that to the purport. I wasn't sure the relationship.
Yes. I was happy not to connect with the purport, because the purport is what about? It's all about monkey sex life. Yeah? So it's just one feature of material life. Yes? Quite intense feature of material life. This is what captures, binds the conditioned soul to this material existence. But it can bind you through different things also. I mentioned alcohol. Yeah? It also binds you. You can't get rid of it. Can't get rid of sex, can't get rid of alcohol, whatever that may be. But another point, what I was making about the, if you are not a devotee, your situation is very unstable. Even if you are a liberated soul, what does that mean? Not forever. Like a Brahman liberation, yes? To merge into the Brahma Jyoti. Huh? It's not permanent. So still you degrade. And then you degrade, well, it's just a question how deep you degrade again. And again you have to revive your consciousness back. So unless, the point was that unless you meet a Vaishnava devotee who would bless you with attachment to the lotus feet of their Lord, bless with attachment, with love, you have no chance. Be that Srivas Thakur, be that Shukadev Goswami, liberated. Bharat Maharaj, he was practical on the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Still he had to go through unpleasant experience of becoming a deer and like that. So it's all about association. It's all about being blessed. It's all about the devotional service. And, well, what to say about the purport is just self-obvious. It's just self-obvious. All of us know what's this speaking about. But the relevance for our life is blessing. Guru and Krishna. Don't get into the illusion thinking that I will work hard my way back home, back to Godhead. You can work hard as you can or as you can't. But through the mercy of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, we are sadhakas. And then we have to proceed, continue. The blessing of Prabhupada is there. So the blessing of Vaishnavas, the blessing of Guru is essential. Essential. That motivates you to progress. Otherwise, you may arrange for a comfortable life in the temple. It's also possible, isn't it? To arrange comfortable life in the temple. The food is always there. There is a room, there is a place to sleep. That's it. Yes, Prabhu. Is it okay? I'm sorry, is it okay?
Thank you, Maharaj, for your narration of the pastime of Lord Srinivas Thakur and Devananda. If I little bit elaborate this as per my understanding, I see like initially Srinivas Thakur was an offender, but he took the shelter of listening to the glories
Bhagavatam.
of Srimad Bhagavatam, and you made a comment even from a non-believer. So still he was being picked up by Lord Chaitanya, and later like Devanand Pandit was also like picked up by Lord Chaitanya through chastisement, and with Srinivas Thakur through surrender. So we people, we also hear. So is how to cultivate surrender, or do we need chastisement, or both, to cultivate purity?
Repeat please the last sentence, please.
There are two examples given in the pastime. Srinivas Thakur, who attracted Lord Chaitanya's mercy by his surrender. Even he was hearing the message of Krishna through by a non-believer who was Devanand Pandit. The other assembly of devotees were remain unaffected, but Srinivas Thakur got because of his surrender, submission. And on the other hand, Devanand Pandit, who was hosting the class, and though non-believer, was picked up by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through chastisement. He surrendered through service, but initially the driving force was chastisement. So in neophyte stage, what is important? Chastisement followed by surrender, or how one should cultivate purity? What is important? Because we also interact with material people, non-believers and all.
First of all, thank you for your respect. But I'm not Maharaj. I'm just a devotee, ordinary Bhakta Das. Another thing is that the constitutional position of every living entity is Jivera Svarupahoy Krishnera Nityadas. Everyone, even non-believer. Even the worst demon, still he's a spirit soul. So are we able to see a spirit soul in him? And another thing is those persons like Devananda Pandit, Srivas Thakur, they are eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes. So he knows them, but they, after getting in the material conditions, they may temporarily forget or get lost. And then Lord Chaitanya just goes around and picks them back. Yeah? Let's go. Let's perform the pastimes. Let's participate in my pastimes. Yeah? So, are we not lucky being picked by Srila Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada ki? That's it. This is his pastime. This is his mission. So, we have to participate. Like Narottam Das Thakur. He appeared just after the Lord Chaitanya's disappearance. But from very childhood, he was like a pure devotee. Even in his childhood, when the children are being given the first grade, he was refusing. He was not taking. The parents were giving the kid the first grade ceremony. He was just spitting out. He couldn't. So everyone was very amazed. But one Vaishnava being present there, he said, he's an exalted Vaishnava. Please first offer the grain to the Lord, then give to him. He immediately accepted. He immediately, when it was offered, just a baby, he could recognize prasad, non-prasad. So, our cases are also very different. We are not born in a Vaishnava families, at least we are in the West. In India, maybe it's another story. You're much more lucky being born in the holy Dham, holy Bharatvarsh. But we are not. And still, Srila Prabhupada picked us up by one way or the other. So this is the pastime. And like Narottam Das Thakur, he was very upset he couldn't meet Lord Chaitanya. But still, he surrendered to Jiva Goswami, Lokanath Goswami. He took the initiation from Lokanath Goswami. Although Lokanath Goswami, he refused to initiate him. He said, oh no, I'm not. But all year, Narottam Das was cleaning the toilet of Lokanath Goswami all year round with his hands. Surrender, yeah? Surrender. So better do that voluntarily now, not waiting for terrible things happening in life. Don't tease the Maya to test you. Whew, it's too bad. So better surrender now rather than who knows what will happen. Isn't it? So that was my next point while speaking yesterday with that lady who also should admit that in my life terrible things were happening. I had to go through terrible deathly experiences just to ultimately admit, oh my Lord, I'm yours. Surrender, I'm yours. So it's all about surrender. Whomever you are, believer, non-believer, we have to surrender, and better voluntarily, consciously, rather than through tough tests of material nature. Thank you very much. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.